I did, and I intend to, as many times as I have to, put down how many foods and in how many forms MSG comes in. So when you are out shopping and you are in your holistic supermarket, or you're going down there to get you an Ito burger or an Ito this, check the ingredients to see whether or not they are slipping these mind distorters into your food. All right? Some of the other names that disguise the words MSG or monosodium glutamate are calcium caseinate, C-A-S-E-I-N-A-T-E, hydrolyzed vegetable protein. That's in all of your hamburgers, all your vegetable protein. Monopotassium glutamate, yeast extract. These are all MSG, another name. Autolyzed, A-U-T-O-L-Y-Z-E-D, plant protein. Glutamic acid. Autolyzed yeast. Gelatin. Gelatin. Textured protein. Hydrolyzed plant protein. Not just autolyzed, but hydrolyzed plant protein. Glutamate. Yeast foods or nutrients. Anything that says yeast food or nutrient on the package. Now, also sodium caseinate, S-O-D-I-U-M, caseinate. Now, you're going to only find these in prepared foods that you buy. All right? Not your organic foods yet. That's why we're fighting so hard for there to be that they don't label genetically altered food as organic. Now, here are some ingredients that often are or made up of MSG. Malted barley, flavor. Here. Or no, contains MSG. Or are considered MSG byproducts. Yeah. Yes, sir. Barley malt. Anything that says barley malt or malted barley. They have the MSG effect on the brain, which sometimes we're not even realizing that a lot of the tonics that are sold to us in the form of herb tonics have an agitating. That's the thing I'm going to be speaking about in Atlanta in the next couple of weeks. We take in herbs and tonics and serums, not realizing that they act like MSG on our bodies because they are stimulants. They're not nutrients. And anything that stimulates the body without giving it, in effect, a nutrient. And the whole thing about nutrition is a myth any fucking way. Because if you understand how the body truly operates as a solar machine, secondhand imbibing or the secondhand stuffing of organic products into your face has nothing to do with your living properties. It is because you have so matogenically degenerated that you have become dependent upon eating, and that you have forgotten that you are not a creature. In the Bible it speaks in Genesis that you ate of the fruit of the tree of life, which meant that the only thing that you ate of the fruit of the tree of life, if you look in your body, you will see that as you look at the spine and the nerves, as they connect towards the lungs and the bronchioles, you will see it looks like a tree. Now the only thing that is of the fruit of the tree of life is essentially what the solar energy condenses in the form of vapors into your being. And breath, you are the breath of life. You're not the apple of life. You're not the Mickey D. burgers of life. You are the breath of life, and that's what you were. That's who you originally were in your prototypical shell, in your prototypical vehicle. You were a creature that was created. Now, if you're supposed to be created by God, and you are a son of the child or a daughter of God, you were created perfect, needing nothing. And that the connection between you and that was the current of life, which was the movement, or what you call the spirit. And if you look at the word espiritu, you will see that it means breath. So eating, I'm talking to you, is essentially about a learned addiction. Now, it's very difficult for us to deal with this situation because we're not talking on a level where we're ready to go back to that state. We live in a fucking cesspool. We are treading water with it up to our nose. And we're not really treading water. We are in a septic tank. So to even espouse such principles to you is something removed into the archival memory and rusted shut in that vault of experience. So me speaking to that part of you, there may be a part of you that remembers what I'm speaking about, but I'm speaking to the somatic body right now. I'm speaking to that somatogenically processed entity that sits before me, that sits here speaking to you now, the part that thinks it needs to eat. That part that has trained ourselves. So I'm speaking to you as the gods that you are, and the goddesses that you are, the netters and the netterettes that you are, the sparks of light that was originally your first container for consciousness. So as I was saying, barley malt, and if I forget to say certain things along the line, I'll remember to say them again about who we were. Anything that says flavors or flavoring added. Modified food starch. Anything that says barley mal, M-A-L. Anything that says reaction flavors. Rice syrup and brown rice syrup. Malt extract or flavorings. Lipolyzed butter fat. Natural chicken, beef, or pork. The stuff that they say is ingredients in it, says contains natural chicken. MSG. Maltodextrin. M-A-L-T-O-D-E-X-T-R-I-N. Seasonings. Those seasonings that you see them get, that they get in the health food store, the stuff that they tell you, oh, it's better than salt. It's MSG. Yes. Anything that says herbs and spices on the side. Soy sauce or soy extract. Soy protein. Corn syrup or cornstarch stock. Anything that says solids on the side, which claim to be MSG free, that's bullshit. Anything that says soy protein isolate or soy protein concentrate. Anything that contains broth on the side. Cornstarch. And this one is a biggie. Citric acid. Especially when processed from corn. Milk powder. milk powder. Bouillon, B-O-U-I-L-L-O-N. Dry milk solids. Flowing agents. Carrageenan. Wheat, rice, or oat proteins. Anything containing annatto, A-N-N-A-T-T-O. Protein fortified milk. Anything containing whey protein or whey. Anything that says spice. Anything that is enriched or says vitamin enriched. Anything containing pectin, P-E-C-T-I-N. Anything that says isolate or concentrates. Gums. Anything that says protein fortified anything. Enzyme fortified anything. Fermented anything. Ultra pasteurized anything. Protease. Dough conditioners. Protease enzymes. And yeast nutrients. All of these are made to create artificial appetites that keep you somatogenically trapped within those appetites and thus unable to escape, to overstand and understand new thresholds of light. Okay. All right, let me go into soy. Soy has been the staple foods for all us nature eating, all us health conscious and health aware folks. And I too was made a victim of soy until a few years ago. And I began to do some investigating on it, and I began telling people to just leave it alone and deal with their nut milks by making it themselves. The history of soy, and I'll be very brief about it, happened around in China at the time. And if you read a lot of the ancient books in China, and around the so-called Hunza people from those parts in Russia and over those areas, you'll see that soy was not used as a food in the earlier dynasties. Soy was actually one of the 5 gifts, but it was not used as a food. It was something that was separate from the other 4. And you come to find out that soy had an extremely rich nitrogen base that they used to use. They used to grow it to use as a fertilizer for the rest of their foods. Only. The soy itself, as grown and as eaten, caused a lot of physiological disruptions in the body. It was not used as a food in China until around 323 BC. And I'm not sure of the date, but don't quote me, I'll find the date again for you. And one of the Huang dynasty, or the Han dynasty, or the Hung dynasty, they began to ferment their foods. And it was only through the fermentation process that they began to actually incorporate soy as a food. So unless soy is fermented, it cannot be used as a food because it cannot be digested properly. But the components of soy were also found to be dangerous by the ancient scientists because soy had something in it that was called isoflavones. And these isoflavones had something very peculiar as a reaction to the body. It began to disrupt the endocrine system because the materials in there would tend to have a phytoestrogenic reaction to the body. And phytoestrogens are those components, are those xenoestrogens or other estrogens or artificial estrogens that have a direct effect on estrogen receptor sites in the body. And what happens is that all of these soy products have an estrogenic effect on anybody who takes them. Which is why since the 1950s they knew this. And why since the introduction of soy as a replacement to certain things in the last 10 to 15 years that we began to see a concurrent rise in breast cancer rates. because of the incursion of this extra estrogen that was put into everything. Soy is in everything. It is in everything. And now they're using it as the infant meal, the infant formulas for babies, which is the most dangerous thing you could do to your child. Because the soy, when you give the child, for instance, you have about 3 or 4 feedings over the day. By feeding that child soy products during the day, that soy juice, you give that child what is equivalent to 5 to 6 birth control pills a day. And this is why I say that the feminine principle has become so distorted by the way we've been eating, by the way we've been thinking, by the pollution in the atmosphere, waters, and everything else, that the instinct to nurse is gone. The predicate, which is natural for you to take that child to your breast, is gone. First of all, you don't want them sagging anymore. You got to get back to work in 2 or 3 months. These types of mentalities are now perverting that natural instinct. And what happens is, because of the foods that the women are eating, and because of the way they're behaving, the natural mother hormone called prolactin is deficient in most of the women today. And that mother hormone is necessary for her to even feel like she wants to breastfeed. It is the natural precursor to changing her temperament. The prolactin is a temperament hormone. Not only does it help in the production of milk, not only does it help in the protective elements that are in the milk, but it is a hormone that is a neurotransmitter that conditions the feelings of the female to be the mother, to be patient, to be loving. And that's why you're seeing so many children being left in dumpsters, killed, and all this kind of shit. So soy now, with the introduction of all this quote-unquote artificial estrogen, messing with the estrogen receptor sites in the women's bodies, they're throwing it off. Now, what does that mean to the baby infant male that you're feeding that shit to? Ooh. Men create estrogen at a different harmonic than women. But a healthy man eliminates the estrogen through his liver. The way we eat and the anger that most brothers have nowadays distorts the liver. So there is a way, the way for him to process that part of him that would distort his own biochemical programming stays in the body and begins to wreak havoc. Now, people don't realize that there's subtlety. It sounds like a general statement I'm making. It's not a general statement. It's not something to just fly over, and it's not something to go into the laboratory. Well, let me just see what it is he means by that. It don't work like that. If you find something out, the way these bastards maintain the dollar value to shit, or the human value in shit, is to see whether the dollar value is affected. So we tell them that it's fucking them up without fucking with our pockets. If it's messing with estrogen receptor sites, and males have dormant to semi-active estrogen sites, because we need part of the estrogen as a tincture to maintain that balanced information energy pathway that we have in the form of these hormones that we have. The estrogen in our body helps to make certain types of hormones. But after it's done, they flush the residual is flushed. The electrical component, the circuitry component of the male recognizes that as a destabilizer to its proper functioning if it overloads the system. The same way that a woman's body understands and understands that if that progesterone to estrogen shit is fucked up, then you got testosterone in your system. That body has to change and pervert in order to accommodate that testosterone. So you start growing the hair, you start wanting to feel like, I got to exercise, I got to do this. The girl, get a child a bottle. That's what happens when the endocrine system gets fucked up.